Namaskar and a very pleasant good afternoon to all of you. I, Sangeeta Kaul, on behalf of DELNET Developing Library Network, extends a very warm, hearty welcome to each one of you for joining us today at DELNET's monthly webinar, which has been organized by DELNET every month. It's a profound privilege for me to welcome all our library and information science professionals who have joined us from different nooks and parts of the country and also from outside India. I also extend a very hearty welcome to a large number of our faculty members, dear students, and also the researchers and scholars, including the students from the Department of Library and Information Sciences who have joined us today. It's a pleasure also for me to acknowledge the presence of our colleagues from DELNET New Delhi office, from where I'm speaking to you right now, and also our professional colleagues of DELNET at our units in Bangalore, Pune, and Hyderabad, including Mr. O.N. Safapuri, Dr. S.S. Murthy, and Dr. Neela Deshpande. I also would like to, at the very outset, would like to thank each one of you for joining us today and also for the immense interest that you have been showing in the DELNET webinars. We are indeed much grateful for your very kind continuous cooperation, which really inspires us to keep on doing these programs. We would like to talk about today a particular topic, that's the information overload, and that each one of us, being a library and information science professional, feels it every moment. And yes, we have a greater and greater responsibility to ensure that when we are serving our patrons, when we are serving our library users, we should know about the tools and technologies in place and the strategies. We must strategize our services in such a way that our users always find that they get the information that they want, and then they are not being overloaded with immense information which are being provided by the library and information science professionals. I would just like to tell you that how the session, which is being lasting for an hour time, we intend to, intend to take the session and then also a couple of polls that we are going to launch during this 1 hour session in order to get your inputs, because we really want the session to remain highly interactive, and we always greatly value the participation of each one of you in our webinars, which is the high points of of the regular webinars which are being conducted. Also, we would really like you to give us your inputs, and that is, we would like to have at least 15 or 20 minutes time, or even more than that, towards the fag end of the webinar, wherein we would like to hear from you that how do you think that what we should do it in our libraries in order to ensure that we don't overburden our information seekers with much of the information, and what we should really do. So we really want to make this session more lively with your very active participation, and we are pretty confident that each one of you are also going to immensely contribute in this knowledge sharing that we are going to have today through this webinar. So as the title of the webinar indicates, it's tools and strategies for countering information overload. And here I would just like to begin off this presentation with a very well famous quote, and each one of us, the library and information science professionals, are well being aware about this quote. It says, "We are drowning in information but starve for knowledge," and that's being said by no one else other than John Nesbitt in his book Mega Trends, published in 1982. And let me have this opportunity to request each one of you. This has been one of the most classic titles being authored, and you must really have a look at this title being published in 1982. Wherein this very famous quote has been published, and which really holds a great value for each, not only for the library and information science professionals, but each and every one whosoever is seeking information. And that is, we are drowning in information but starve for knowledge. And herein comes a very quick poll which says, do you agree that we are drowning in information but starve for knowledge? So I would like to request you to kindly give your feedback about it. Do you agree with this fact that we are drowning in information but starve for knowledge? You have got two options, yes and no. And we would like to know that how many of you would like to agree with this statement, which is a very, very strong statement. And we as a professional would like to, because it's very, very important, knowing a fact and being sensitive, the self-realization is very important. And yes, when we talk about the library professionals, we ourselves have to be very sensitive on this issue, that do we really know that what we are into? And then only if we know the gravity of that, then only we can think about devising the ways to change that. So please come forward. As I could see, 38% of you have voted as of now, and I request you all, please come forward, and just you have to click on to either of the options, yes or no. Do you agree that we are drowning in information and staff for knowledge? Do you think that we have lot much of information, but still we are not having the knowledge that we would like to seek? So please come forward. 45% of you have voted as of now. I really wanted to cross at least a 50% so that we get really the right kind of an opinion from this poll that we have launched in order to get your feedback on this. So thank you very much. 50% of you have voted, and let me just now tell you that the findings of this poll, 96% of you have gone for yes as being predicted. 96% of you have agreed to this fact that yes, we are drowning in information, but we feel starved for knowledge. And 4% of our professionals, attendees who are there with us today have declined. They have said that no, they would like to differ on this, and they don't agree to this particular fact that we are drowning in information and starved for knowledge. And we would like to have an opportunity to interact with them, and also to know from them that how they would like to, give their thoughts on this. Let me just also share with you some of the very, very famous quotes, which says, the information age is drowning us with an unprecedented deluge of data, which has been said by Levitt in 2014. And all of us fully agrees with this fact that yes, we are fully being immersed in data, and which has happened because of this entire information age. Everywhere, every place, every nook and part, of our surroundings, they are always being connected now, and there is not much of information which is now coming in to us, and there are various avenues from where we are getting it. There are lot many opportunities now every moment to do it, and yes, technology is the one which is the enabler in this entire thing. And yes, indeed, it is leading to the information overload, which is a central point of our topic of discussion today. I would also like to tell you that this is the title. There is a book with the title of Data Smoke. I think some of you would really like to go through this title, which was being written by Shank way back. He was a journalist way back in the year 1997, and way back in 1997, he published this book with the title of Data Smoke, and which spoke about the muck and druck of the information age. And that has to do with lot much of information. And as you could see from the year of publication, 1997, even that was the very early period when the entire technology, the ICT was coming into scene. And yes, even in those times, this title was written by a journalist, Shank, and you may like to have a look at this particular book, because it will take you back at least 30 years back and tell you that what was the scenario which was anticipated and what we are now seeing now. This has not even exponentially, this has just been increased in an unlimited way, unimaginable way. The data is now getting generated, and yes, it indeed is creating an issue for the consumers of that. So in this knowledge economy, the information remains as a most valuable commodity. Indeed, the nations which are having, the information is the key to everything in today day and time. And now the entire economy, it's an information economy that we are talking about. So the more you are informed, the more the society is informed, you are definitely going to create a difference, and you are going to have a different scale altogether of your socioeconomic conditions. Everything is now being linked up with information, and this has been the scene. But yes, because of ICT now, this has become become now a major commodity and also a major asset now for the nations, for the organizations, for the companies, and for anyone and everyone, whether they are the producers of information or they are the consumers of information. This remains as the central point now. And we are indeed now into the knowledge economy, because the more knowledge bases that you have now in hand, that would definitely determine that how wealthy you are. So the wealthiness is not just simply because it's the knowledge is creating that economy, and all of us are fully sensitive on this issue. And the current research, and we have also seen it, I would also like to mention that how the last 2 years we have seen, wherein you had not much of information, everyone was being able to get connected, with the entire world, with their near and dear ones, all because of that the information was available. You have been able to get everything, even the kind of things that were not approachable. We are talking about the pandemic times, that how technology has helped a very crucial role. If we really visualize, if these tools would not have been there, how miserable the life would have become, more miserable in fact. And definitely the current research, there's large number of research which has now being done, that how this entire information overload has impacted the lives of, whether we talk about the professionals who have been working, whether in the corporate sector or even otherwise, how this has also impacted the psyche of our young children who are the schoolgoers, and how this has really impacted them. And yes, the current research definitely indicates to the fact that the surging volume of the available information, this exponential increase of information, accessibility to information which is now being there, this is definitely adversely affecting and when we say adversely, that means it's not in the good term. It's an adverse effect. It is not something which is being wanted. It is not something which is being desired by anyone. Everyone wants, to have the very positive impact, but we are able to also see that not much of this information which is now coming in, this is adversely affecting, the personal well-being of the people, and also most importantly, besides the well-being of the person, it is most importantly also impacting in large number of ways in their decision-making process, in innovation and productivity. And that's very crucial for, that's a kind of alarming situation for library and information science professionals, that when we see that so much we as a professionals, we handle a large number of information, and we have our users, who depends on the libraries, they depend on the library and information science professionals. So we have to practice, and implement the best practices to ensure that we are not creating, a kind of an information overload in their lives. And because not much of information, if we give it to them, the research shows that it's not just simply we think like that. The research clearly indicates that this is indeed, creating a more difficult times for the users, and especially their decision making gets impacted, because as everyone can very well can see that and can feel that, if you have large number of resources and you just leave it to the users, asking them, you consume what you want, definitely in the decision making, that's not much of time that they're going to take. And also moreover, they may at times get biased, they may not be in the right, they may not be able to assess, and also assimilate that particular information because of the information overload. So it's definitely, the research indicates to the fact that it's impacting their decision making. It's also leading and impacting, the innovation and also the productivity. And I would just like to ask you a question, and that is, do you agree that information overload affects our decision making, innovation and productivity? All of us are also the consumers of information, and we would like to know from you, do you agree to this fact that not much of information or information overload is impacting our decision making, that our decision making doesn't remain that sharp and that quick, because of not much of information overload? Or even our innovation, the way to think differently, the way to innovate, that's your own critical thinking power gets diminished, when we are talking about the information overload, and also the productivity. So please do kindly come forward and give us your candid feedback. Please be very candid, very frank, what you feel. Just kindly let us know about it so that we can get a right picture of your inputs on this. So as I could see that we have 33% of you have voted as of now. Please come forward, requesting each one of you come forward and tell us, do you feel that the information overload, not much of information around, is also leading to it's impacting your decision making? It is you are not in a frame of mind, when you have not much of information to handle, that what is the right information, what is the wrong information, which one to consume, which one to use, which one to apply in your specific areas of discipline, and also impacting your innovation and productivity skills. So please do kindly let us know about it. 44% of you have right now have voted. Please come forward. It's 45% requesting you, as I said, requested earlier. At least we want a 50% of you to vote, so that we at least can get a sizable number of respondents to these polls, and we get a kind of a true picture of your inputs that you may like to share with us. So 48% requesting. Those of you who have not yet clicked, you have got only two options, yes and no. Whatever way you feel, please do kindly come forward and just click onto it so that we can get the correct. So thank you very much. 50% of you have voted for this, and let me now divulge the findings. And the findings indicates that 91% of you agrees to the fact that yes, information overload does impact our decision making. Our decision making does get impacted if we have not much of information overload, or our innovation and productivity gets impacted. And in relation to 9% who disagrees with this, and they feel that no, it doesn't impact not much of information. The information overload does not impact in any ways our information, our decision making, or our innovation and productivity. Much thankful to each one of you who have participated in this. I would like to speak about and tell you about this information explosion. All of us are fully being aware about this fact. And let me just share with you, and this is a very reliable data from IDC, that is the International Data Corporation, a global market intelligence firm. And they are the most reliable one who really predicts about the future, and especially about the data, that how much of data is getting generated. And according to them, there will be a 175 zettabytes of data stored on computers, with about half of it in the cloud by 2025. And this is what we have been speaking about earlier, that this is an unimaginable, something which we had never thought of, and not only unimaginable, at the same time unmanageable also, growth of information that we are seeing around. And as now we could see, even in our libraries now in the West, when we look at the West, we do have now the data analysts, the data strategists, who are being there in the libraries. The data analysts, whose work is to analyze the data before, we are, going to manage that. So there is altogether the big data we are talking about. There is altogether a new discipline of data science, which is being there. And this is all because we have a large, enormous data which is getting generated. And as we could see that, and also the growing trend is that, as being anticipated by this IDC, that half of this would be in the cloud. That is, they would be available. It's not just simply with their individual institutions. This would also be available in the cloud environment. So these are some of the other findings that I would just like to share with you, that the employees spend 1 day per week, per work week, searching for information necessary to do their job successfully, according to Interact. This is yet another agency who said that, almost on an average 1 entire day. And we are talking about, all kind of employees in varied kind of disciplines. Yes, we library and information science professionals, all the time we are searching for information for our users. But yes, as in various industries, when we think about that, someone who is wanting some information, on an average 1 entire day, 1 entire working day is being consumed by the employees searching for information. IDC data also shows that the knowledge workers spend 2.5 hours each day looking for information. So knowledge workers who are being there now with the various industries and whose work is to cull out the relevant information, on an average 2.5 hours, they have to look around for information. It may be on a specific projects, it may be on the specific new things which are being happening in their specific field of knowledge. They are spending that much of time every day looking for that information. And the professionals in their workspaces and as individuals, we are encountering what we call the infobesity. So that is the obesity of information or the information overload. This looks to be a very, very new term of info obesity, and that is that you have too much of information which is there. As consuming too much of information can cloud our ability to make good decisions, because you have not much of information with you and you are really feel yourself, your vision gets clouded. It gets you are not able to really know what to consume and what not to consume, and setting the criteria for doing that. And once the scenario, why I'm telling you all these scenarios is to tell you that we as a library and information science professional have greater and greater responsibility to make the lives of our users, our researchers, scholars, whosoever is in need of information, we have to make their lives more simpler by devising the ways and techniques for doing that. So information overload occurs when decision makers face a level of information that is greater than their information processing capacity. And that's because what overload happens when we say that whatever is the set capacity, whether we say it can be an overloading of anything, the overloading of, you say I'm overloaded with work, but what does that mean? That means whatever work that you can take care of, you have not much to process. Or we say that it's an overloading, even in an electrical power, we say that's an overloading which has happened. Why the line stripped? Because there was an overloading. Overloading means whatsoever was a capacity which was assigned for those specific lines, you had put in not much of more load on that, and that's how it has become overloading. And same thing also applies when we talk about an information overload. I'm just going to speak to you about that, how this is also happens with the individuals who are consuming that information. I would also like to cite over here that the problem of the information overload is not something which we have started encountering and talking about since 1990s or early 2000, since the ICT came, but this has also been reported by the scholars in 13th century. The multitude of books, the shortness of time, and the slipperiness of memory, which was reported by a author Blair in 2012. So even in those times, they felt that yes, there's not much to process, and then you have a lesser time, or you are and when we say the slipperiness of memory, that cognitive power, to consume that much, after all, it's a human beings who have to consume that information. You really have you find yourselves at the crossroads. You really find yourselves in a situation that you feel that you are being overloaded with information. So overload doesn't happen only when we look for information. We professionals spend hours filtering out the relevant content for our users and also for our own selves. And all of you will agree with this fact. And that's what, we, the library and information science professionals, do that. So now I would just like to also request you all to read this book by O.E. Clapp, Overload and Boredom, Essays on the Quality of Life in the Information Society, published in 1986. And we are talking about the time, when the ICT was not there. But yes, even in those times, though the ways of information was being more limited on the print or various others, not only just the print, there have been many other avenues for gathering information. But yes, even in those times, there was, this entire problem of information overload. overload which was being there. And with the advent of the technology, definitely all of us knows about it. You have a variety of formats in which you are getting information, whether it's by email, social medias, wikis, it's your mobile devices. Everything is being now connected with information, everything. And we have a greater and greater tendency always to fetch that information using, those smart devices, the gadgets, and that's leading to, and also leading at times to, the unwanted information which gets to you. So the term may be used to represent a state of affairs when an individual's efficiency in using information in their work is hampered by the amount of relevant and potential useful information available to them. And that's really an important thing. And I would just like to mention over here about the impact of information overload, and these have been the surveys conducted in Australia, Hong Kong, UK, and USA. I'm sorry, this is a USA. It has been reported that information overload results in the loss of time, negative effect on work, reduced efficiency, frustration, tiredness, stress, negative effect on decision quality, and reduced productivity. In other survey, it was also revealed that the information overload has caused loss of job satisfaction. It has damaged their personal relationships as well, because there's not much to do, and this has also created, a loss of job satisfaction. And I would just like to mention about this very interesting inverted U curve, and that is that how the information load versus the decision-making performance. And this, you may like to have a look at this U curve, because it conveys you clearly that the more you have the information load have on you and your decision making power, so you have a saturation level. You can see here there is a saturation level, and from that saturation level, even whatsoever new information or whatsoever other information that you tend to give it to your user, the user would not be able to consume it, because from a cognitive viewpoint, decisions maker cannot use more than his or her limitation of information processing capacity. So when we say the information processing capacity, these are not the computer processors that we are talking about. We are talking about the processors, the cognitive powers of a human being. So every user, and we, the library and information science professionals, must be very, very sensitive and should be able to know about it very clearly. Because if, for example, we are providing and giving an information resource or resources, to our faculty member, we know their level. But when we are doing it, with a student, we know that can take to that level. So we have to really always think about how much my user can consume. Am I going to overload them? Am I going to overload this information overload is going to happen if I'm going to push so much of content to them? Because as one can see it in this graph, there is a saturation level. Everyone has got a saturation level. Me and you, everyone has got a saturation that till this point you can take, but if you keep on flooding the user with not much of information, it's like going out of memory. Like in the computers, you also get, it says it has run short of memory. It cannot process anymore. You are going to get a memory error. So the same thing also happens. We have to think about that each individual has got their information processing capacity, and we as a library and information science professionals must be very much vigilant and sensitive on this issue, that to whom are we giving this information. And we should always think about, when we push the content, we say, here goes the 30 articles, which you have been on your subject, topic of your relevance that you have been wanting. We must really think about them, that when they are going to get this 30, are they going to encounter a situation that they are being, immersed in, or they are drowning in information, but starved for knowledge, that they have got so much of information, but they don't really know, which one to really refer to, and to call out, the knowledge component out of it. So we should remain always much aware about this specific fact, and we should always think about their information processing capacity, and we should always keep it at the back of the mind. And as it says that from a cognitive viewpoint, they should stop acquiring information and make a decision based on the limited information that they have. So because after that saturation level, whatsoever is being there, and sometimes it happens, you keep on pushing the content, you keep on sending across, and the user would reply back in a very soft tone saying that, madam, I have got enough, and let me firstly go through it. If I need anything more, I will come back to you. What it indicates, it clearly indicates that the users also have their own saturation level as being shown in this graph, and we should remain very, very much aware about it. I would just like to tell you that there is a worldwide information overload research group. You may like to go to their website. It's a very interesting forum which has been made, which really looks into this information overload aspects, which are being witnessed across the globe by the various kind of users. And you may like to talk about it. And the prime goal of this entire group is to reduce what we call the information pollution. And this is something which is very important for we as a library professionals, because this is what we are always being involved with. That is the information searching, information processing, information dissemination. So you may like to, many of you may like to have a look at this website, www.iorgforum.org. And that is Information Overload Research Group. IORG is for Information Overload Research Group, and they undertake large number of research to see that what are the new things, how we can reduce this information overload from those who are wanting to have information. Now, herein comes the question for you. And because we really want to keep you engaged, so herein comes a question. Do you know that Information Overload Day is observed every year to spread awareness among the masses? So what I'm going to do is we are going to launch this and asking you, do you know that Information Overload Day, the way we celebrate the International Women's Day, you have the Human Rights Day, you have our own Librarians Day, DELNET also has now the Library Networking Day we are celebrating. Do you know we also have an Information Overload Day, which is observed every year to spread awareness among the masses? Please come forward. Only 22% have voted as of now. I request you all quickly give us your inputs. You have to tell us, have you been aware about this fact that there is information overload day, that there is a day which has been, there is a day designated awareness about this information overload, a day in this 365 days, which is being earmarked to observe it as an information overload day. 39% of you have voted as of now. Please come forward. It has now become 40% to 41%. Quickly help me out in crossing this. At least a half of the our attendees must really participate in this so that we can get a clear picture from you. 44% of you have voted, which has become 45%. Let's quickly achieve a 50% mark, at least a 50% mark, so that we can come to know about this, that there is an information overload day which is being observed every year. And this is being done across the globe. This is a day which is being observed in order to sensitize the masses about the information overload. And I think we library and information science professionals must really celebrate this day every year in order to ensure. So I could see that 49% of you, please help me out, 50%, thank you very much. And here goes the findings of this survey. 69% of you have gone with yes. I'm very happy and thrilled to see that 69% of you have been aware with this fact that yes, there is an information overload day which is being celebrated every year, which has now become 70 to 30% is the ratio. So 70% of you have gone for the option yes, and 30% said that no, they have not been aware about it, that there is an information overload day. Here comes now the next question for you. The Information Overload Day is celebrated on which day, do you think? If you have been knowing that 70% said that yes, they have been knowing about it, please kindly let us know that Information Overload Day is being celebrated on January 10th every year, April 30th, that is the today's day, and the day when we are holding, this information overload webinar on that? Or is it October 20th? Or is it November 14th? So please do kindly give us your candid feedback on this. And 19% only have voted, requesting each one of you, keep your mobile phone, keep your laptops, remain glued, to your own computer so that you can give us your options, and as we could see, requesting you not to refer to any of the other sources to see that when do we celebrate Information Overload Day, but just to tell you, you have got 4 options: 10 January, 30th of April, that's today, 20th of October, or you have a 14th of November. So 34% of you have voted. Please quickly let us work to see that we are able to get this 50%. Requesting each one of you, we have got 49% of have voted. Let me just quickly see to it that it gets crossed. Yes, let me just now tell it to you, the findings. The findings, I will go with the least number of percentage, and then I will give you the maximum number. And 4% of you have gone for November 14th, which is also being celebrated as a Children's Day. 8% of you have gone for January 10th. 35% of you have gone for today's date, that is April 30th, on which we are holding this webinar. And 53% of you have gone for October 20th. And this is to confirm, that your trust, your belief, your, your correct assumption about it, you're very much correct. The majority of our attendees have been correct in mentioning that October 20th is being observed as an Information Overload Day. So thank you so very much to each one of you for participating in these polls and for letting us know. So October 20th, please remember that why we had put in this April 30th is, yes, we are doing it today, and we could see that 35% of you have gone with that. So that was a catch in mentioning today's April 30th. But please remember, October 20th is the day, and we would be very happy if we get an invite from each one of you that you are celebrating Information Overload Day in your own institutional libraries, wherein you sensitize your users, you tell them how best what you are doing in order to ensure that they are not being overloaded with much information. So please mark your calendar for October 20th, and we shall be very happy, in fact, to maybe have some brainstorming session on October 20th with our own professional colleagues across the country and outside to deliberate on this, that how can we create a better information consuming environment for our users in order to safeguard that they don't get into an information overload phenomena. So October 20th is a very right answer for this. Now herein comes the strategies to counter information overload, and that's one very important thing for us, that what are the strategies to be in place to counter the information overload. We have been knowing about the fact that yes, we are being overloaded with information. We know that that we as a professionals have to really work in order to ensure that we are able to provide the information in such a way, to prioritize the information, to personalize the information in such a way that our users, they don't get. And as I had shown you in the previous slide, that we have an inverted U curve. There is a saturation level. Every user, every person has got their saturation level for information processing. How much information can they process? So cognitive powers, we have a limitation in that, and we should not. We should always be very sensitive as a professional. We should be very sensitive on that, and accordingly, we should provide the information to our information seekers. Herein comes the strategies at a personal level. So definitely filtering the information, eliminating the information source, delegating the work, and prioritizing the work. It's a very important thing when we are doing it. At the personal level, we are doing it. And information sources also. So eliminating, it's like picking up the relevant ones, but also eliminating the ones that you don't want. And that's what is happening when we tend to get the information. That's what is happening to the users when they try to get the information from from Google, which has got everything, and you are not able to know which one are the most authentic sources for for referring to that resource, for referring to that information. So as a professional, we have to eliminate. So the best thing happens even in when we have a multi-choice questions, and if you're not sure about the answer, what do? You firstly try to eliminate that. No, this can't be, this can't be, and then in the end you say, okay, these are the two. Out of the two, then I just want to ask my colleagues whether they are able to hear me, because I could see that it says that the voice is not audible. I hope that I'm audible, because I have my colleagues who are also listening to it. I think maybe perhaps okay. Thank you very much, Supriya, Nitish, and Srinu. Thank you very much, Mr. Hilal. Thank you, Mr. Jyoti Prakash. Perfect. Narendra Singh Ji, thank you very much. I think this maybe perhaps for a few seconds, because I was speaking. I do have my colleague, Mr. Kushal Goswami, who is sitting just next to me, and that's his work. Like, he has to keep on seeing that what you are watching and what you are listening to, he should also be able to. So thank you very much. This is from Nitesh Joshi. This is once again because Nishit Joshi has said some technical problem. May I request anyone now to tell me, is it working fine? Is it working fine? Are you able to hear me? Paramjit, thank you very much. And Avdeshji, thank you very much. And thank you, Dr. Vidhate, thank you very much for this. Yeah, this is like, as we know, we are all talking about the information overload. We are talking about how technology is impacting. And yes, we are fully being dependent every minute, with the technology. And we are able to witness that also in this session. So I was telling you about it in the electronic resources. Even you must really have the ranking of electronic resources. It's a very important thing. You may be having a subscription, let's say, for example, for electronic resource in your specific field of knowledge, and when you are letting the users to know about it, you must really rank them. We as a professional knows that what is the topmost priority thing should be for them to refer to. It's not that putting everything, you have to put everything undoubtedly, but you can also give your, and that's the work of being a professional. We have to tell them that if they are going to refer to this particular electronic resource, they are most likely to get the most relevant hits, in that. So it's very important, even in our searching when we do. So it should be, there should be, even if we are doing kind of a, there is a relevance factor which comes even in searching. For example, even in DELNET, if you search, it also gives you a relevance factor, that how relevant that particular hit would be if you are going to access, to a particular resource. Similarly, for we as a library professionals in our libraries, when you are making the resources available to them, you should also rank them on your basis, on, that majority of my users are working with discipline, and what should be their top referred electronic resource. And you can do it that in order of relevance. So you're putting the names of, let's say, 5 different electronic resources, and you may say in order of the ranking, in order of the relevance, that how relevant that content would be, because some of the electronic resource may have 90% of high relevancy factor for the users, other may have, let's say, a 70% or a 60%. And the user should know, if I'm going for a resource, I'm going to have a more relevant hits, which will come to them. So we should always think about, having this. It's not just simply putting that these are the electronic resources. We should also think about ranking them in order of relevance to our users. And we know our users, who they are, what they would be searching for, what are the areas in which they would be making the searches for, and accordingly we should do that. Strategy called the withdrawal strategy, that works at the level of information source. It aims at keeping the number of sources at a minimum in order to save oneself from the deluge of information. That is selecting only reliable source of information, and that's the what we were talking about earlier, the withdrawal strategy. That is, you just give them a kind of very selective kind of information sources. And as there are now a large number of we have a large number of search engines now, wherein the information resources now being referred by a library professional. So it's like you have your stamping of a library professional. It's being duly authenticated by a library professional that this is an information resource, or this is an information source that the user should come and visit, because it's not something which is just being there and it will just pop up if you make a search. This is well being suggested by, it is being recommended by a library professional who thinks that this would be a resource that a user specializing in a particular field should come. So it's very, very important for us, to keep the focus of our users, very pinpointedly they should access, because this information overload happens when they just go the democratic way, they just try to make a search on a Google, and whatsoever comes, they feel like, utilizing it, using it for their research, which is not a right thing. Filtering is yet another strategy, and yes, which works at the level of information content based on weeding out irrelevant information. And this filtering is a very, very important thing, what we as a professional are doing it. Even again, this is Dr. Vidate, you're saying that a sound problem. But I'm not getting any signal from my colleague. He's giving me a thumbs up. So I hope so that, okay, fine, Dr. Vidate. Thank you very much, because we have to, ensure in the online environment, when you are in a physical environment, you can get to know what is happening, but in the online, and that's why, as I said, I have my colleague, wonderful colleague of mine, Mr. Kushal Goswami, who always that's we do, because we know that we are relaying, but how well, and he as a user, as an attending, only attending to ensure that it works. So thank you very much for this. So filtering is yet another strategy, and we should always, and I think in all our information resources that we offer an access to, even in our catalog systems, even in our full text systems that you are devising, you must have this feature of filter. The filter should be one of your, the searching. When you do a searching and you say the narrow down, and all that, we used to, use that much earlier, but filter, because filter gives a kind of an indication to the end user that yes, I really can filter as per my needs and requirements. I can further what is the work of a filter? Filter is that you are, wanting to give a very narrow and very specific relevant hits to the user. So please ensure that you do have this filter as one of the options available in your online platforms, whatsoever kind of a thing that you are doing, but it should be available. So herein comes a question for you. It's a long time since we have asked you to give your feedback, and the question I would just read once and then we will launch the poll. The question says, as a library professional, before sending the information in bulk to the user, do you think about information overload aspects? And as I said earlier, the user asks you, madam, I'm looking for some latest articles on mechatronics, and you send across 30 lists. You know, you just are able to download it from your subscribed source, and you just send it across saying that here goes the 30 articles on the subject. Do you think whether I'm sending this to my student? Do you think whether it is for a faculty member? Do you think that this is 30 numbers looks to be too big enough, and I should firstly filter out what is being required and what can be most relevant, you know, to my users? So herein comes the question for you, and the question which is now as a poll getting launched on the screen. As a library professional, before sending any information in bulk, and we are talking about whether you are sending across any reports, or you're talking about any articles, or you're talking about any of the other source, you are sending it across, do you think about this specific information overload aspect? Or you just forward that, you know, whether it's in 100 hits or 100 articles, or you know, it's being required by a student, and you just leave it to them, that let them filter out what they are wanting? Or do you yourself take out time and just see that what is a specific thing, you know, that the user has asked for, and then seeing out of 100 there may be only 30 articles which you find is up more precise and relevant, and you feel like only forwarding those 30? Or you just download all the 100 whatsoever your subscribed resource shows and you forward it to them? So please, you know, tell us that, do you think about information overload aspect, or you don't think about it? So answer is yes, you think about it, or no, you don't think about it. 40% of you have voted as of now, and I request you, please help us in crossing the 50% mark. So 45% have voted. Let it be quickly across 47. It has reached now, and still 3% more to go. 48%. Quickly requesting each one of you, please do come forward. You have to, if you are thinking about it, give us a very true picture. If you think about it before forwarding, you know, say that yes, I do think about it. If you say no, I don't think about it, whatever comes, whatever I'm able to fetch, you know, from my information resources, I just download them in a folder and I just send it across to the concerned user. Thank you very much. 52% of you have voted, and let me now disclose the finding results and the finding goals. And I'm really very happy and pleased to see that yes, we have our professional colleagues, 79% of you have gone for the option yes. And yes indicates that yes, you do think about, before you forward that bulk information to your users, that this may cause an information overload. You do think about them, that if I'm forwarding these 50 articles in one stretch to them, they may get overloaded with a lot much of information. So you do think about this aspect, which is really quite an encouraging sign that yes, we as a library professional are sensitive, very much sensitive on this aspect, and we are not getting ourselves drowned in information, and we are not letting our users also to get drowned in this information, this deluge of data and information that we have. Now, this has come to 80% of you have said, yes, you do agree, you do think about it. And 20%, thank you very much for being very, very candid and in mentioning about it, that yes, 20% of them, they said, no, we don't think about this aspect. And yes, but we as a library and information science professional, we need to think about this aspect before we forward this. So thank you so very much for sharing your viewpoints on this, for sharing the kind of a practice that we are doing it. And the reason why we are holding this webinar today, this is just to make everyone, each one of us, including everyone, you know, we really want to think about our users. We want to think about that we should not overload them, you know, with the information. We are handling that, and we have to handle them in a more responsible manner, ensuring that they should not feel like, you know, getting overburdened with much of information that they have to process. As we know that, we have seen it, we have shown it to you, that there is a cognitive limitations. There is a limitation. Inverted U graph, you should always remember in your mind, whenever you're flooding, you know, that kind of a thing, remember in your mind that inverted U, there is a saturation level, and user may not. He or she may just open the first 20, 25, and then after that would think, okay, you know, we'll see it later. So we have to go that extra, we have to make that extra effort in filtering out that, you know, and then seeing it, what is the most precise thing, and accordingly to do that. So thank you very much for sharing the very fascinating, data and inputs that we are able to do. These are the, you know, things that I would just like to mention about you. We are talking about the strategies and tools that we should have in place in our libraries with our information providers, we as library professionals, and these information guides definitely remains one of the most important thing. This is not just simply it was meant for the 1990s. If you know, not many of you would be knowing about those Yahoo directories, subject directories, you know, which used to be there in those late 1990s. We used to go by subject. That really holds significance. That really the information guides is a very, very important thing. And it's also very important to, when we talk about these information guides, we have to educate our user how they should consume this information. You need to create those guides from your own perspective, from your professional perspective. Give it to them that we are providing you these information resources. We have placed them online in the order, in the ranking order of their relevance, and how they should, you know, utilize these resources. So it's a very, very important thing that we should try to do that. So the creation of the guides to library and internet resources to direct users to the relevant content remains as very important strategy for reducing individuals' information overload. The research has found the efficacy of providing these guides in print as well as in online formats to enhance the usage. As I said, you know, these guides, information guides, you call it on your website and say information guides, and then you tell them we are having a subscription to this, we are having, you know, the print collections of this, and how they should use these information guides, how they should use these resources in a more effective manner without making them feel that they are into an information overload scenario. So these information guides can be organized by subject, by academic courses, and alphabetically, supporting the findability of library materials while reducing users' information overload. So the subject still holds great relevance, even if we as a professional, we are fully aware with the fact that if on your online portals, just don't put a find option, because all of you would agree with this fact, not all the users, even they would be very much, you know, able to convey what exactly are they looking for. They may give you a very broader thing, but many of them may not be able to tell you precisely. But if you give them an option for browse always inspires, you know, a kind of an inquisitiveness in the user. You know, it is a well proven fact that, and as a user, even we think about our own selves as a user, you go to a site wherein you have a find, what to find, you may think about it. You know, if I say, okay, in our catalogs of 4 crores, what you want to find, so you may think twice about it. But if you give them the same through a browse, you give them a different subjects, so a person would know about it, that okay, this is my, you know, the subject field in which I may like to, you know, browse some material. So it's very important for the findability of the material. So one is a find that you do, and other one is these information guides. Through that, create a browse category. So don't think that this used to be done way back in 1990s or early 2000s. This still holds significance, and especially in reducing this information overload. Because when we give them an option to browse, they said, okay, fine, I'm just wanting in these 2 subjects I would like to refer. They would not like to, go for anything more. Findability definitely holds good for those who are very specific. They are knowing about it. What exactly are they? But browse helps those who just wants to browse through. They just want to get a feel of the things, So that would really hold good if we are providing them. So do please ensure that in our libraries, when we are having our library pages, when we are developing our library portals, besides this just find what you're wanting. Also, if possible, do create the browse facility. So browse can be by subject, it can be by academic courses which are being being run in your institution. So then you are able to, what we have been talking about, the withdrawal strategy. So withdraw, you are able to withdraw that, that no, I don't want this, and now, I just want these two things. So this would ultimately be a helpful thing for our end users, the users who are looking for information. These guys should include all relevant resources available to users, such as databases, journals, ebooks, reference materials, digital collections, and websites, and other open source materials. So we can always devise, our things in such a way that we are able to do. Dashboards is now a very growing concept which is now being done. Dashboards is not only in our vehicles, dashboard is now when a user comes in. So you have the things being ready-made now, being available to them on their dashboard. So something more personalized, something that is very, very peculiar to the users. So there is a greater need now to develop these interactive dashboards for the information in the users in the libraries. And a large number of libraries now, especially in the countries towards the Western world, they are using this feature of the dashboards. So the user, once they come, they have something very, very personalized way of providing their information depending on what are their areas of specialization. You have got a new book which has come into, so on the dashboard it will get displayed. You have added some new journals, you have added some new service which is just being meant for their discipline. It will it will come, and it says it will help in developing and offering personalized information services to the users depending on their specific needs and requirements. The user profiling must be done in order to achieve the better results. And user profiling, then you would like to know what are their main areas of specialization, what are their other hobbies. Many of you who have attended one of the previous session, wherein we talk about customer satisfaction in the libraries, one of the important thing is what we call KYC, know your customer, know your user. Do you know them well? Do you know the main areas of specialization you may be knowing, but do you know what are their hobbies? What are the other things that they may be interested in? What are the other information that they may be wanting? Those kind of things gets integrated in this dashboard. You may be holding, for example, or you have come to know that there is a kind of a particular event being organized in an area which is their core to their hobbies. So you can push that content through the dashboard. So once they log in, it will say it's not necessary that your institution is doing, and you would just like to provide them an information. There is something happening in their areas of their hobby, even besides their areas of specialization. So you can always do this subjected to that you have done the user profiling. User profiling is a very important thing. Is not just simply knowing about their name and their designations and what are the courses that they're teaching in the college. Most importantly is what are their interest areas, what are their core areas in which they want and they would like, and what are their interest areas. It can be right from their professional works that they may be doing. They may be teaching nanotechnology, but they may be interested in poetry. So you should be knowing about it, and these dashboards are being used for that particular purpose. Providing facilities for summary and trends, and this is something which is now a very growing thing now. That is, you have to provide the abstracting services. I mean, what has been done even 40 years ago, 50 years ago, still it holds relevance. So the summary is, no one has got a time to read everything, and that's how the why the abstracting services came into existence, because it tells you what you are heading to, what all you are going to get. And we as a library professional, and I'm very happy to share that number of libraries we are finding now, even you are providing, even in the books that we are seeing, some of the institutions we are able to see because we get their catalog records for our merging in our portals, and we're able to see that some of them have now started giving a summary, at least some 25-30 lines about even a book, what the book is all about. And that's really something which is well appreciated by the users, because it's an information overload. You're trying to reduce it. Users just goes through those 20-25 lines and they know how much significant that title would be, whether it's an article or a report or a book or anything. Or the efforts like Make My Book. And Make My Book, so it's like on a particular subject, you are trying to get them, the most relevant content, which is all being collected from the various sources. So we, the library and information science professionals, should get specialized in that art, which really helps them, in giving a more personalized approach and in a more personalized format that we are able to do it. The trends in specific fields of knowledge can also be created as a knowledge resource for the users. And this is like what we have been doing at the STI services, selective dissemination of information, very core to the library services. But the trends is something. So you can start off a service, the trend services, and this would be a very wonderful knowledge-based service for your faculty, for your students. And you can see, can start off in 1 or 2 disciplines, which are the most highly, acclaimed, areas in your institution, and you call it the knowledge trends. Knowledge trends dash, you can give it, mechanical engineering, you say ECE. So what are the latest trends in that particular field of knowledge? The library professional should really, and this would ultimately help. So everyone will get a knowledge capsule they know that what is being happening, rather than the user going to 30 different sources and then trying to see. And also you are able to then get and record that information in a better way. So we should try to do that. Improving website design and promoting its use, definitely, this is a very, very important thing that we should do it. I would just like to mention that you need to have, and when we say the library's web presence, is not just simply having on the institutional website a library link and then you say, yes, we have so many number of books, we have these resources, we are the members of these all, various institutions and all. It's most important that you should give them an access to your content, whatsoever you are subscribing to, through that, and that would really make the things much easier. The availability of a drop-down navigation bar providing options as students especially value, such as resource tools, library service, and library information should be there. The library website should also include Google custom search function with the ability to process natural languages as well as federated searching. So natural language searching, NLP, what we call, we have now the AI also, which is now getting integrated into these tools. And you can include this Google custom search, which makes the things much easier, because not everyone, not every user is knowing about it, that how to make the precise search. So it's important that we are able to integrate those things. Here comes a quick question for you. And the question is, do you have an exclusive library website with interface for searching the library resources? By this, we mean to say, on your library website, do you have an exclusive library website, just simply a separate URL for your library website, wherein you are also providing them a provision for searching your online resources? It can be a catalog records, it can be your e-journals that you are subscribing. Do you have that? And we would like to ask you to give us the inputs through this poll, which is now being displayed on your screen. Question is, do you have an exclusive library website? When we say exclusive library website, if you give me the website address of the library, and if I type that, I will directly go to your library website. And then, do you have an interface for searching the library resources, wherein one can make a searches? Your catalog records, your online resources, please kindly give us a very frank opinion about it. Is it really happening? Is it something that you have it with you, the library website? The reason why we also ask you these questions is it also tells us we may like to hold the webinars or some online programs telling you how you can create your own library website. It can be on any of the free platforms wherein you can create, helping you out how you can create a template for the library website, and how you can overnight can make your resources, your information about your library available. So this also gives us, remain assured that when we ask these polls, we analyze these polls. It's not just simply asking you and then just, forgetting. No. DELNET is an organization who keeps a very close. If we are asking you something, that's the reason we always say, give us a candid feedback, give us a frank feedback, because your feedback would definitely lead to a better decision making by us, because we would be able to know that is there a need for doing something by us. So thank you very much. 50% of you have voted, so thank you very much for this. And as we could gather from this poll, 74% of you have gone for the option 75%. So ratio is now 75% to 25%. 75% of you have opined that yes, you do have an exclusive library website, wherein you also have a provision for searching the library resources. 25% have said no. So fairly a good number, because we have a huge number of our attendees who are there, with us today. And that indicates that we should think about, DELNET should think about having some exclusive, just not a 1-hour session, but maybe a day-long session to tell you how you can create your own library website. And it may be they are not necessarily on the paid platforms. You can do it on any of the free platforms, and you can acquire the skill sets, wherein you can upload this content. So thank you very much for this. 75% yes and 25% no. Here it comes. Another question, which is a very related question, and that we would like to know from you. Do you have a full-time professional in your library with expertise in website designing? Please kindly let us know about it. Do you have a full-time professional in your library with expertise in website designing? Why we are asking you this question is that, is there a need, as I said earlier, that to make our library colleagues, acquainted with this website designing practices? Or because if you depend on someone else in your organization to do that, they may have not many of other developmental work to be done, and they may be doing it for library as well. But yes, it is always good enough. This is like a capacity building for our own library professionals in website designing. This is what even an organization like DELNET, let me tell it to you, way back from the year 1998, we have been an organization in the very early stages when the World Wide Web just came. We have been organizing those programs, and we still remember with National Informatics Center, we have been doing it, and even in the physical environment, a 3 days program for website designing. And DELNET will be very happy to conduct, very exclusive programs for library website designing work. That how you can design and how you can not only design, how you can make it available. Thank you very much for this, but it's still 47%. I would just like 3% more to vote for this before I disclose the findings of this poll. And the poll question was, do you have a full-time professional in your library with expertise in website designing? This is inching towards 50%. This is just going to be 50%. It seems, yeah, thank you very much. So 43% of you have gone for the option yes, which is really quite encouraging to know that 43% of our colleagues in their institutions, they do have a full-time website designer, the developer in their own library. And 57% of you, majority of you have said, 57% of you have said no, you don't have a full-fledged, a full-time professional in your library taking care of the library website designing. And I think you have given us an opportunity to think about holding an exclusive library website designing workshop maybe a day-long workshop, we may like to do it, and wherein we will give you the right from the scratch that how you can create your own website. And also we would try to see to it that we tell it to you wherein you can do it without paying any fee to any of the paid web servers environment. You can host it on number of platforms which are provided free of charge, and to provide you with the the best of the knowledge so that you can develop this. So there are templates which are being available, and we will be very, very happy. So thank you very much for letting us know about it, and we can assure you from DELNET that we will be working in making it available. Users format preferences. There are preferences of the format in which the users they need information, especially when we think about our current users. It always is important to know about their preferences. So the literature survey points to the need to conduct surveys and interviews to determine format preferences from the users. And if we really ask our users in current day and time, they just would say all the digital, or every way, all the ways leads to the digital ways only. But yes, as a library professional, we are knowing about the limitations which are being there, because not all documents are being born digitally. They are not being available. And yes, we do have to depend on a number of other formats, but we have to be very, very sensitive on this issue, and we must know about it, that what are the preferences of our users. Promoting information literacy and user critical thinking skills, very important that we need to have the adequate information literacy skill sets to be imparted. This definitely helps in reducing the information overload. Maybe when we are observing on October 20th an information overload day, you may think about having an information literacy workshop at your institution. Tell them that what are the skill sets that they should have, how they should make the best use of your resources, and which is again a very important thing. Time-saving strategies to combat information overload. They should be encouraged to refer to the book reviews. It is a very important thing. And some of the now emerging tools which are now happening is that you are having, let's say, 50,000 books in your library. And even the catalogs, the way we merge it with the Google Books, for example, if many of you who are from the members, you know that even in our DELNET catalogs, when you see these 4 crore documents, so if the book is also on the Google Book, you will get a kind of a link. It will show you a small pic and along with the link of the Google preview. And similarly now, the book reviews is yet another important thing. And we should try to have this integration done in our catalogs, that if there are book reviews which are being there, authentic book reviews, it's not that someone has just published it. You should try to refer to the best of the book reviews sites, and then you should try to give that link to your catalog entries, so the user comes to know a lot about that particular, because reviews, we know about it, that in whatever we are doing it in the online environment, everyone wants to have a look at the reviews first, and then you are able to know about how authentic that particular source would be. Similarly, in our libraries, we need to do that. Integration of recommendation system, very, very important. You should think about doing it in your own catalogs, and doing that. Use notifications wisely. I would just like to be a little quick because it's already 4:15. I would just like to mention that this notifications which keeps on coming, at times very, very, difficult to handle. So according to the research from online learning company Udemy, it says 50% of the employees opine that they are less productive due to workplace distractions. More than 59% agree that the use of technology is more distracting than the work tools. Reducing notifications during the official meetings can keep people focused, and these notifications, even otherwise, and if we really see lot much of. So one has to, this also leads to the information overload that you keep on getting. And I think everyone, whether we are in the professional spaces or personal spaces, does encounter this situation wherein you don't want to, get notified. But yes, you keep on getting, and you just see and you just delete that because you don't want to, have a look at that even. So your use of AI tools, would just like to tell that there are emerging AI tools now which are appearing, and tools like Jane.ai, that is for artificial intelligence, and Pendexio can help in mining information and providing replies through chatbots. So chatbots, again, that is the enhanced version of the FAQs that we have been doing, wherein you have an AI and NLP, natural language processing and AI. You have the robots now, which are being used even in the libraries, and chatbots. You ask a question, and through the repository, it would be able to, and you can ask in the NLP, in the natural language processing, and system will be able to do. So there are now these tools which are being used and one can do. Use of voice computing technologies, yes, in the libraries, it is happening. Again, for information overload, you may be occupied with something and you just want to use these voice computing technologies, tools like Alexa and Siri. It's able to, that, okay, let me have, the books on this particular topic. What are the latest titles which has come from this author? So you can ask, and yes, so the voice computing technologies have a great say now in the libraries. So we would like to know, do you use any voice computing technologies in your libraries for your users? Are you using any voice computing technologies in your library for your library users? Any voice computing technologies? Because this also holds good, when we talk about the visually impaired, our library users, so the young population, it would be really good, if we are able to have, some specific unit which really takes care of having the voice computing technologies in place. And that would be, it's again, we would really like to know from you whether are you using any voice computing technologies. So we will be very, very happy to have your inputs on this. 34% of you have voted. Please be quick enough in giving us the inputs, because we would like to know from you that how far are you using these voice computing technologies. Let me just tell you, we are towards the end of the session. Quickly, we are just going to, because I know that our committed time was till 4 o'clock. So 43% of you, but let me just tell you that 29% of you have gone for the option yes. So you have said that yes, you are using voice computing technologies, but 71%, which is a huge percentage of our respondents, have said, 71% of you have said that no, you are not using any voice computing technologies. I believe in the days to come, many of you would really like to do that. Social media analytics tool, this is yet another important thing that there are now, I would just like to mention, there are now tools which are available for, what we call the social listening, and a number of open source social media analytical tools, including Google Analytics, Social Harvest, Social Board, Hotsuite, Zoha, Social, and Crowdforce. So you can always use these ones for social media analytics. I would just like to now be a little quick in that. Now herein comes a question, and we would like to, with this question, we would like to make the floor open for you, and that is, what kind of personalized selective information services do you offer to your library users to avoid information overload? And I would just like to also request you to please do read this book, The Organized Mind, Thinking Straight in the Age of Information Overload. So this is by Daniel Levitin, and this is a very wonderful title that you may like to read. You must read this book. Take out the time, even few pages by pages, read this book, The Organized Mind, Thinking Straight in the Age of Information Overload. If you want DELNET to send it to your interlibrary loan, we'll be happy to do that. So now we would like to make the floor open for questions, and also your observations, and also for your inputs. So it would be a pleasure now to hear from you. And as I have kept the slide saying that, what kind of personalized selective information services do you offer to your library users to avoid information overload? If you may like to say something, we would be very, very happy to hear, or you may like to say anything else, we would be very, very happy to hear from you. So I would now like to request all our colleagues, all our, who are there with us, all our attendees. So please kindly raise your digital hand, and we would be very, very happy to give you a control. This is to request each one of you, if you may like to say something, you may like to share your experiences, please raise your digital hand, and we would like to give you an audio control. So I would like to, go, before I I could please wait. Yes, yeah. I hope it's audible. I'm not. You can notice that I'm not today having the microphone. We are using directly through the laptop. Thank you very much for this. So, but we need to figure out later. I'm requesting my colleague Kushal to look into that aspect. That was it a internet connection issue, which we don't really. I think this looks to be an issue of losing a connection of the laptop audio rather than an internet connection, because the video was very much being visible, and audio means that from the system from the laptop audio, we had encountered an issue. So anyhow, thank you very much for this. And I was just wanting to remind you that 11th of May from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. we are on 11th of May, we are going to celebrate the National Technology Day, which is being celebrated every year. 11th May is celebrated as a National Technology Day, and we are going to have a talk on cybersecurity, usability, and privacy, growing issues and concerns, which will be delivered by Dr. Sanjana Rathi, who is an CEO of Cyber Diplomat, an organization. She's a founder. And we request you, and today also, when you are going to receive the certificate in yet another 1 hour's time, you are going to get a link of that registration. You need not worry, we are going to again send it to you, a separate email also about it. So this was just wanted to tell you so that we don't forget to inform you about it. And that is 11th May, National Technology Day, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. We are going to have this talk on cybersecurity, usability, and privacy, growing issues and concerns. So now we are quickly making the floor open for questions. We request you to raise your digital hand, and as all of you knows, we will go from A to Z with the first name of yours to see if you may like to. We really request you, you may like to say something. We would be very happy to give you an audio control. So I am in the process of going through the list. I have crossed till D and still moving, and we would request you, you may like to say something. It would be a pleasure. We just quickly moving across the entire. I've reached is quite surprising that I'd request each one of you, if you may like to say something, you may like to share your views, please kindly do so. I'm moving through till S. I have, in the chat box, I would just come back to the chat box to see. You can pose any of your questions, observations in the chat box also, and we will be very, very happy. Okay, here it comes. It was quite surprising today that in the end, after why we have got all the hands which are being raised, and I was looking for them, requesting Dr. Naveen Kumar, BM. Dr. Naveen Kumar, yes, Dr. Naveen, very good afternoon.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening to everyone. So, in our library, Ramaya College of Law in Bangalore, ma'am, I'm working as chief librarian there. We give detailed orientation program to them, ma'am, detailed one, and we have a library tour research. After my orientation program, we call all the students to the library to have a library tour, and personalized services will be given to them. If they doesn't understand in the orientation program, we help them. And as well as second thing, what we do, detailed whatever resources we have got, detailed training program will be done to the all the students, ma'am. All the students in the online mode, ma'am. We do it out. So this has a personalized and.
That's great.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Dr. Naveen, and very happy to hear about it. And thank you so very much also for joining us today. Much happy to have you with us today. And thank you very much for sharing, that how you are trying to help the users in not, organizing these orientation sessions and also giving the personalized services to them. So thank you very much, Dr. Naveen. Thank you. I would now like to request Dr. Harilalji. Dr. Harilalji, I have unmuted you. Please unmute yourself. Dr. Harilal ji, could you please unmute yourself? I believe he's not able to do that. Dr. Harilal ji, could you please unmute yourself? This is for Harilal ji. Could you please unmute yourself? I'm sorry, I have to mute you otherwise. Extremely sorry. We are now going to Mr. K. Varatharajan Karupam. Varatharajan Karupam, could you please unmute yourself? Mr. K. Varatharajan, I have unmuted you. This is for K. Varatharajan Karupam. Could you please unmute yourself? For unmuting, on the right hand side, you have a microphone which appears. Just click onto it. I believe Mr. Varatharajan is not able to do that. I'm now going to Nazneen Bano. Nazneen, you have just gone offline. Nazneen Bano, I just request you, if you can re-log in again. This is for Mr. Abhilash Mohanty. Mr. Abhilash Mohanty, could you please unmute yourself? Mr. Abhilash Mohanty, could you please unmute yourself, Abhilash? Abhilash, I'm extremely sorry you're not able to do this. Is going back again to Harilal ji. He has again raised his hand. Harilal ji, could you please unmute yourself? I have unmuted. Yes, we are connected.
Yes, good evening, madam. I am not Dr. Harilal ji. Harilal ji. Thank you, madam. But I suggest, but I invite your attention that the selection of keyword is important to control this information overflow. Whatever we put into the database, we should give the correct, appropriate keyword that I want to suggest.
Thank you very much. This is a very important aspect, Mr. Harilal, and thank you for pointing it out. Yes, indeed, the keywords, and moreover also having the subject headings as per any of the control vocabularies, whether we talk about LCSH, we talk about MESH, we talk about the subject headings again, because that's the place wherein, at times it happens that, no standard control vocabulary is used, and that also leads to a lot much of information pollution and information noise. So, and thank you very much for pointing it out, about this facet, and thank you very much for your inputs. Would now like to request Neetu Singh. Neetu, could you please unmute yourself? This is for Neetu Singh. Neetu, could you please unmute yourself, and you may like to say something? Neetu Singh. I believe Neetu is not able to do that. Going now to our next attendee who may like to say something, and this is Mr. Pedi Raju Anand Kumar. Mr. Pedi Raju Anand Kumar, could you please unmute yourself? Mr. Pedi Raju Anand Kumar? Mr. Pedi Raju Anand Kumar, could you please unmute yourself? I believe he's not able to do. Mr. Farhan Ali. Mr. Farhan Ali, yes, we are connected, Mr. Farhan. Mr. Farhan, we are connected. You may like to say something, Mr. Farhan Ali? Mr. Farhan Ali, would you like to say something? Able to hear my own voice back. Let me, I think he had just raised the digital hand. Mr. Swami Madappa. Mr. Swami Madappa, I have unmuted you. We are connected, Mr. Swami Madappa. Mr. Swami Madappa, would you like to say something? Mr. Swami Madappa, this happens if we are just trying to see that how a particular feature would work. This does happen in the online. Mr. Prashant Bandekar. Mr. Prashant Bandekar, we are connected, Mr. Prashant. Mr. Prashant, we are connected. Would you like to say something? Mr. Prashant Bandekar, would you like to say something? We are connected right now, Mr. Prashant. I believe not able to. This is for Mr. Satish Nayak. Mr. Satish Nayak, there's no audio device. I'm sorry, I can't give you an audio control because of that. Dr. Shakuntala Dhaya. Dr. Shakuntala Dhaya, we are connected, Dr. Shakuntala. Dr. Shakuntala.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, would you like to say something?
Good evening, ma'am. Yes, we made such type of files on the philosopher as Shri Aurobindo Ghosh and Gandhiji, so that students do not go anywhere and only click on that file and see all the information available on these philosophers. And
thank you very much for sharing this. Thank you so much, Dr. Shakuntala, for sharing this. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. We have Suman Jan. We have Suman Jan. Suman, I have unmuted you. Could you please unmute yourself? Suman Jan. Suman, could you please unmute yourself? Suman, could you please unmute? Yes, Suman, we are connected.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Yeah, very good afternoon, Suman. Very good afternoon to you.
How can I find the user statistics from DELNET?
Suman, for user statistics of DELNET, your membership number followed by #* followed by 1992. That is your password. So give that password, whatever is your membership number, followed by #* followed by 1992. And let me just also tell all our colleagues who are from the members, only a member institution, can generate their own report. You can't generate the report of any other institution because system automatically detects what's your membership number and it will allow you to generate the report. So Suman, the system will ask you for a password and give the password as your membership number, whatsoever is the membership number. Let's say your membership number is 2000, I am 2000, so the password will be 2000 #* 1992. A PDF file will get generated. If you have any issues, do drop us an email or contact us, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Suman. Thank you very much. Thank you. We are just going now. I can see that it's a pleasure to see many of our colleagues here who are also wanting to say something. We have Paramjeet Kaur, Paramjeet from AIMA, All India Management Institution. Paramjeet, I have unmuted you. Could you please unmute yourself? And I look forward to hearing. Paramjeet, could you please unmute yourself? This is for Paramjeet Kaur. Paramjeet, I have unmuted you. I believe Paramjeet is not able to do, and I'm going now to Amol Ronge. Amol Ronge, could you please, yes, we are connected, Amol. Mr. Amol Ronge, Mr. Amol, we are connected right now. Would you like to say something? I believe Amol is not able to do that. This is for G. Srinivas Reddy. Mr. G. Srinivas Reddy, could you please unmute yourself, Mr. G. Srinivas Reddy? Mr. G. Srinivas Reddy? I think he's not able to do. I'm going to Suman Jan. Suman Jan. Suman, this is yet again to ask you. You have again raised your digital hand. If you would like to say something, please raise your digital hand. You have already raised a digital hand. Please unmute yourself. Suman, I'm sorry. This is for Mrs. Kaiser Jaha. Mrs. Kaiser, could you please unmute yourself? I have unmuted you. We are connected.
Yeah,
Kaiser?
hello, ma'am.
Hello,
Yeah.
yes, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, ma'am. As the orientation service we are providing to the students, and then the reprographic service, which data is useful for them from the articles, our journals, our books, and the printouts, which is the very useful for the students. So we are providing these facilities for the students, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Kaiser. And would you like to introduce yourself, Kaiser? Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sorry. Kaiser Jahan from Naukis College of Engineering, Hassan.
Thank you very much, Kaiser. Thank you very much for joining us today. Truly appreciative of your presence with us. And thanks for sharing also your inputs. I would like to go to Smita Kadam. Smita Kadam. Smita, we are connected.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am. This is Smita from Pune. I'm a librarian of a Symbiosis School for Liberal Art. So, ma'am, we create a QR for the OPAC system, and it is display on all the walls. So, students are coming and they scan the QR and they search all our catalogs.
You have gotten QR also? QR code has been generated for that?
Okay.
That's good. That's good to hear, Smita. That's good to
Taking
hear.
training session for electronic databases and orientations.
Okay, good. That's good. That's good. Keep up your good efforts, and really happy to have you with us today, Smita. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Smita. Thank you so very much indeed. Thank you. We have Mr. Suhas Kulkarni. Mr. Suhas Kulkarni, could you please unmute yourself? Mr. Suhas Kulkarni, could you please unmute yourself? Mr. Suhas Kulkarni, Suhas, I have unmuted you. Could you please unmute yourself? I believe Suhas is not able to do that. I'm going to Mr. Ambika Prasad Mohante. Mr. Ambika Prasad Mohante. Mr. Ambika Prasad Mohanty, could you please unmute yourself? It seems that Mr. Ambika Prasad Mohanty is not able to do that. Yet again, quickly would like to ask you if you may like to say something, and I would quickly then would like to go to the chat box. Very, very quickly I'll do that. But if anyone would like us to get connected with you, please do kindly let me know by raising your digital hand, and we will be happy to give you an audio control. I'm quickly going through this list. I have crossed till M, and then we will just have a look at the chat box messages which have been sent by you. So I'm just glancing through the entire list so that in case if anyone, because last time it just happened that the names appeared in the end rather than showing in the front, it otherwise comes at the top. We had Dr. Shakuntala Dhaya. Dr. Shakuntala, we have connected with you earlier. Yeah, Dr. Shakuntala?
No.
Dr. Shak
Yes, ma'am, yes.
Yeah, would you like to say something again?
No, I have already said.
Okay. Your digital hand was raised again, so that's the reason.
Oh,
no
sorry.
Yeah, pleasure. No problems. Thank you very much. And this is what happens in the digital environment. So, okay, Paramjit, how to mute? You have to, on the right-hand side is a link for muting, unmuting yourself. This is being, I just would like to once again give you a control to Paramjit Kaur from All India Management Association. Paramjit, I have unmuted you. On the right-hand side is your mute button. This microphone is appearing. Click onto it. This microphone. Paramjit, yet again requesting. I believe Paramjit is not able to do that. This happens in the different environments of these. Yes, Paramjit.
Good evening,
Paramjit. Could you please?
Yes, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Yeah, very good evening, Paramjit. Pleasure to have you.
Yeah. We were arranged the Zoom meeting on for users how to use the ebooks.
Okay. That's a good orientation session.
Yeah.
On 27th of April.
27th April. We are also organized orientation program to new members, to students coming for courses, how to use the library services, how to download or how to see the catalog, etc.
That's really happy to hear. Happy to hear about your wonderful work, Paramjit, that you're doing. Keep it up, and very happy, and thank you very much for joining today. Thank you very much. Thank you indeed. And this is indeed quite a knowledge sharing, because all our colleagues have come forward in sharing their views at how they are also trying to ensure that there is no information overload happening. I would now like to quickly go through the chat box messages. This is by Ms. Dr. Mohammad Ghulam Ghosh Pasha, who said that it's a good idea if you conduct webinar, how to create library website, and we hope DELNET will do the needful. Definitely, as I said earlier, Dr. Pasha, we would be we would work on that, and we would see to it that not just simply for an hour, we may like to have an entire day online workshop. It would be to give the know-how to our own library professional colleagues that how they can create their own library's identity on the web by creating an exclusive website. So we will be doing that. This is Dr. Manlam. Paramjit has already informed us that she has conducted some programs. We had this is Dr. Rajesh Sharma, the librarian at Kendriya Vidyalaya, Bilaspur, who has liked this deliberations today and said that he is at KV library teacher and using self-created library 2.0 tools such as web blogs, class-wise, Wakelet profile for dissemination of information to users, which helped me greatly, particularly during pandemic. And we are indeed, very happy to hear about it, Dr. Rajesh, and we are knowing about it, the wonderful work that you are doing it at Kendriya Vidyalaya. In Bilaspur. So wishing you the very best and thank you very much for joining us. This is from Mr. Vinay Shaligram, who said creating subject groups of users, researchers to share information. That's indeed happy to hear about it, Mr. Vinay. And it seems like yes, because the remaining one was when I had asked that whether I'm audible or not. And so this is, it seems that we are towards yes, and happy to see that many of them have also responded about the date of this information overload program on the chat box. So this is now we are. I would like to apologize that we have overshooted. It was supposed to be over at 4 o'clock, and this does happen when you do an online deliberations. We apologize for taking much of your time, but we remain truly appreciative and admire, the presence of each one of you for being there with us in this webinar and for making it as a very highly interactive webinar. Thank you very much for joining us, and we really look forward to having you back again on May 11th at 3 o'clock to celebrate the National Technology Day. And on that occasion, we are going to have a talk on cybersecurity, usability, and privacy, growing issues and concerns by Dr. Sanjana Rathi, the CEO of Cyber Diplomat from Bangalore, who would be joining us and who would deliver that. So it has been truly a pleasure interacting with each one of you, and there have been not many takeaways from this webinar for DELNET. And we also request you to please do kindly keep on giving us. We are shortly going to also send it across to you an email to all our attendees of all our webinars being held till as of now, that what are the areas in which you want DELNET to further organize the webinars. And always remember that your inputs are highly being appreciated by DELNET, and we generally look into that we are able to conduct and provide some know-how on those specific topics, in order to ensure that we are able to build up our competence building among our library professionals in the country and even outside. One of the immediate takeaway is to think about organizing a one-day-long online workshop on how to create a library website, and we would like to provide a training in such a way that you are able to create. We'll show you how you can create that using some of the open source software for creating the library website, and more so important, we would like to also show you how you can host it on some of the platforms which are offered free. And later on, once you do that, you can always ask your respective managements to get the web spaces on some of the, your own website address you can have, and you can also have your own web spaces. It's not that very expensive in today's day and time, you can do. But in the beginning, because once the content is ready, you have also developed the skills. Learning the skill set is a very, very important thing. And that's the reason we asked you that question, that whether do you have a library, in your own library, full-time colleagues who can take care, because we need to create our own skill sets in our libraries among our own professionals, so that you can can do the work as and when you require it. And we are also, in a way, will be able to create much of the desired skill sets among our own selves. So we would definitely be working on that. And in the meantime, we would like to request you to join us on May 11th. And we look forward to having you back again. And once again, On behalf of DELNET, we would like to convey our sincere thanks to each one of you, and always remember that your participation, your interest, your enthusiasm always gives us a great motivation and inspiration to keep on organizing. We have also decided that we have been doing it on the last day of every month. These webinars last but one day, but now we are thinking that we should think about holding it, and now we would be like to hold these webinars, the one that we do it one monthly. We keep on organizing a large number of webinars for our member institutions. That's about DELNET resources and services. But one generic webinar that we hold it every month, we would like to hold it on the last Saturday of the month. Last Saturday, so you can keep it blocked the last Saturday. Don't keep any engagement. The time would remain the same, 3 to 4, but we request you block it for 3 to 5. As today also we have seen it has lasted till 4:45 now. So thank you very much once again, and I would also like to convey my thanks and appreciation to my own colleague, Mr. Kushal Giri Goswami, Network Assistant at DELNET, who has been taking care of these webinars technically and coordinating it so well. So my very special thanks to you, Kushal. And I remain much grateful to each one of you for being there, for sharing your expertise, for sharing your experience, and for making the session truly a knowledge sharing session. We look forward to be back again, and thank you so very much. I just would like to also confirm that at 5 o'clock, you will be receiving the certificate of participation, and also to tell you, it will be with the information about this forthcoming webinar on 11th of May, but the link which will be there, you have to copy and paste, because in the platform it doesn't show you as a hyperlink. So just copy it, paste it in the web browser, and you will be able to go to the registration page, and you will be able to register yourself. And we will also be separately sending it to you in email in yet another 1 or 2 days time. So thank you very much once again, each one of you, and I do hope that this session was not an information overloading session, and it was, but we have truly appreciated your presence in making it more an engaging session. So thank you very much. A very good evening to all of you. And with this, we close today's webinar, and we look forward to having you back again, each one of you, on May 11th at 3 o'clock. Till then, we look forward to having you back. And till then, do take care of yourself, and we would be more than happy to have you again with us. So God bless you all. Thank you very much. Stay happy, stay blessed, do stay connected, and do stay informed. And also, let's work together to ensure that we are not overloading our users with the information overload. We should be the one who should always think about, shouldering their burden and not to overburden them. So thank you very much, one and all. God bless you. And it was truly a great honor and pleasure for DELNET to have each one of you with us. We remain truly appreciative and thankful to you for your time and efforts in being there with us at today's webinar. We look forward to your continued cooperation and support to DELNET, which we immensely always value that. Thank you very much. Thank you. God bless each one of you. Thank you very much. Thanks.